Historic move for women across this country. The Pentagon this week opened up all U.S. military combat roles to women.
As long as they qualify and meet the standards, women will now be able to contribute to our mission in ways they could not before. They'll be allowed to drive tanks, fire mortars, and lead infantry soldiers into combat. They'll be able to serve as Army Rangers and Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Marine Corps infantry, Air Force parajumpers, and everything else that was previously open only to men.
Noticeably not at Carter's side during that announcement, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford. Also, Senator John McCain, a decorated war hero, issued a statement suggesting that lawmakers would review the implications of women in combat roles. For many, this is a overdue move, certainly historic. I want to show you this clip from the CNN film Lady Valor, showing you just how tough it is to become a U.S. Navy SEAL.
And after that time, that full year, then you finally become a SEAL. Then you wear your Budweiser, the SEAL Team Trident, which is this little thing right here is the SEAL Team Trident.
Joining me now is Kristin Beck, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, now a Democratic candidate for Congress in Maryland's 5th District. She served combat roles in Iraq and Afghanistan on the front lines. Also with me now, senior fellow for the Council on Foreign Relations, Gayle Tzemach Lemmon. She authored a book called Ashley's War, The Untold Story of a Team of Women Soldiers on the Special Ops Battlefield. Thank you both for being here. Kristin, let me begin with you. First of all, thank you from all of us for your service to this country. Take me back to the moment when you were listening to Ash Carter. What was it like?
Well, it was great news. I mean, this is what America's all about. It's about equality and an opportunity for everyone, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, color, even your religion. None of that really matters as an American. It's who you are and what you're capable of doing. And that's what America's about.
Well,
it's about freedom and opportunity.
You have a unique perspective because when you were serving in the SEALs, as a SEAL, you were a man. And yes. But you knew internally that inside you were a woman. Did you think about this, that you wouldn't have been allowed to serve as a woman?
That's a thought all the time. I mean, even right now, as a transgender person, precluded from many things. There's over 50 states in our country right now that I could walk into my job and be fired on a spot today. So I'm still fighting for equality for many people. This is one great step for all of us.
Gayle, let's talk about this. You wrote the book, obviously. You also wrote in the LA Times this week. For years, women served on the front lines despite the Pentagon's official ban on women in combat. They served where needed and went where the mission demanded, even if few Americans noticed. Military leaders did. Talk to me about where we go from here, because obviously not everyone agrees with this. I was reading about a current SEAL who said, look, this can put us in danger. Where do we go from here?
I mean, I think right now the policy question has been largely decided, but the national conversation is very far behind. I think in part because we are so very distanced from, the two wars that have been fought in America's name, with less than 0.5% of the country doing the actual fighting. And the reality is women have been in all kinds of frontline roles for years. Ashley's War is a story about a team of women on Army Ranger and Navy SEAL missions back in 2010, 2011, 2012. These women have been out there. And I think this really is where policy catching up with reality.
I just sat down earlier today with Democratic Senator from New York, Kirsten Gillibrand. Let's listen to what she told me.
I'm delighted, and it makes sense. Secretary Carter really made the case that making sure all of our best and brightest can serve in all capacities is essential for the well-being of our country, for the strength of our nation, and the strength of our military. This decision will add to military readiness. You shouldn't bar half the U.S. population from certain training and certain missions if they're qualified. Women, hundreds of women have died in combat between Afghanistan and Iraq. They have been serving in combat, and so now the least we can do is give them the credit that they deserve and the recognition that they deserve for participating in these very complex and dangerous missions.
Kristin, I'm interested, have you had any conversations with your fellow Navy SEALs, former SEALs, about this?
Over the last few days, yes, it's been quite intense. The biggest thing we always talk about is the politicians just need to understand that the numbers won't be as high as they think, at least right away. It's going to take a little while to ramp this up. Now, if they're not satisfied with the numbers who are passing, because there's many women out there that are qualified, just take it easy, take your time. Because if you start changing the standards or you start messing with the gender norming and everything else, it just doesn't work. So professional football players, I mean, come on, that's what Special Forces is. And I think everybody would agree with that.
Before I let you go, I want your take both on what you'd like to hear from the president tonight, given both of you, Gayle, you've extensively studied the battle against terrorism, and to you, Kristin, you were on the front lines. Gayle, you just returned from Turkey. What do you want to hear from the president tonight?
Yeah, I was there with the NGO Mercy Corps, which is doing a lot of work trying to help the number of refugees. And I think, look, the administration has, for years really battled internally about what exactly to do about the threat of first the civil war in Syria and now the rise of ISIS. And there are not very many good options. What you can really do now, short of boots on the ground, which the president has already said he does not favor, is more of the same. More special operations forces, more looking for partners on the ground and telling them that, you will support them in the fight against ISIS. The question is what you do about the fate of President Assad. That's always been the central question.
Absolutely. Kristin, to you, your take from a military tactical perspective.
Well, I mean, a military tactical, I wouldn't want to hear anything. I mean, don't tell me. The tactics and our strategy should be kept secret. The thing I would like to talk about is set up a safe zone in the Kurdish areas for all these refugees. I mean, first I want to take care of the refugees. I think it's a massive problem. So set up the safe zones. That's what I'd like to hear him talk about.
All right, we'll be watching the president speaking in just about an hour. We'll carry that live for you on CNN. Kristin Beck, Gayle, Tzemach, Lemmon, thank you very much. Appreciate it.